Welcome to Here's How We Get There. It's the daily show filled with conversations about business and mental health in a down-to-earth style with real-world language. Now let's dive in with your co-hosts, Kenneth Shark Kinney and Trey Tucker.
Trey, we're going to talk about Jason Aldean and cancel culture and his song, Try That in a Small Town, that since this whole controversy took over, it rocketed up to, I believe it was number 2 in the US charts all in a week and became one of the most streamed songs of the year because it got so much attention. But cancel culture tried to cancel him, and there was a little bit of a backfire. But what are your thoughts on Jason Aldean and this whole cancel culture phenomenon going on with his music today?
Two big things. Number one, assuming intent, or even in this case, putting meaning into something that never was there in the first place. And then also causing people to hide. And I'll start with the first one. When you just look at something and just assume that, hey, this is what they meant, or this is what they're really saying, when they're in this song, there really isn't any evidence of that. So there's no intellectual honesty there, no matter which side of the argument, whether it's this issue or a future one. We've got to have the honesty to be able to say, all right, here is actually what's being said. Don't bring your own preconceived notions to this issue. And then in general, the whole idea of cancel culture, no matter what it is, we've got to be able to bear one another's burdens and make room for each other's flaws, because if not, everybody goes into hiding. And as a therapist, that's the killer mode for any relationship, any family, any team, any business, is if you are afraid to make a mistake, you're just going to hide, put up a front, and not be authentic. And then there's no connection. There's no relationship. So we've got to figure out, how do we actually make room for mistakes and have a path to redemption? Mistakes, by the way, are different than outright harmful intent and trying to be nasty. Mistake is, oops, I spilled a drink. An actual really mean action is a different deal. So, but we got to figure out a way to work together rather than encourage hiding. What do you think?
So I probably got about 75 different takes on this, and I'll try to cover maybe 2 or 3 at most. One of the things that I always think is interesting, especially since we both live in the South, is there are very few buildings in this part of the country or anywhere in the country that you couldn't say something bad happened. And I don't in any way, when you mentioned intent, think that Jason Aldean personally picked out this building because he knew that this, that, or the other happened there 100 years ago. People like that don't pick out the buildings; they show up. They have a planner who does all this before and scouts the location. There was Hannah Montana was filmed there. Are you going to yell at Disney about that? Of course not. So then you have to break down what the words are in the song, and if you break it in the song, it wasn't the opposite of the attack that they tried to make it out to be. And to your point, if we're going to get through any of this cancel culture BS, you've got to at least get to a point where we can have a conversation with somebody. And attacking somebody with the most profound, crazy thing you've heard, like it all relates back to lynchings, is not the way to move anything forward, let alone get past all the stuff we as a culture have gotten past. Doesn't make anybody perfect. Doesn't make those cities or towns or buildings where they had horrible lynchings, and God forbid they never have anything like that again. But until you get to a place where you can have that kind of conversation, we're never going to move anything forward. And that's the beauty of this country is, I'd also like to know how many of those people that are screaming, cancel him, are Christians, because that's part of the whole thing is forgiveness. We talk about forgiveness and empathy. We don't do that when it's on a Twitter or some digital channel yelling, cancel him, hashtag cancel Jason. No, it doesn't work. It's ridiculous. And thank goodness that kind of the results are going back the opposite way, back to some sort of normalcy.
Absolutely. That's relationship, connection. That's how we move it forward, not the reactionary canceling and moving in the opposite direction.
Well, if I want to encourage everybody, if they want to rocket this podcast up to number 1, hashtag cancel this show. So, but make sure you come back and listen. We'll see you soon.
Thank you for joining Shark and Trey on the Here's How We Get There show. Make sure to rate, review, and subscribe to the show, and visit here'showwegetthere.com. That's here'showwegetthere.com.